Just to paraphrase what I wrote in my book, Kung Fu Maintenance. You know, the hazards of the tasks involved in maintenance means some people will eventually get hurt. It's up to you to practice safety, and Kung Fu Maintenance is not to be held responsible for anyone thinking to practice Kung Fu Maintenance. You know, your life is your own, and your choices follow you. So for the purpose of illustration, I showed some of this stuff indoors. It's actually better to do all of this stuff outdoors. This has been my really good ventilation. It's important. You don't want to breathe this stuff in. Some stuff. As always, don't touch anything so you know exactly what you're doing.
The gear all ready to go. Welcome back to Kung Fu Maintenance. Well, gearing up for the big job and need to add some oil to my vacuum pump. Thought I'd show you how you add oil. It's got this little deal up here, and then we've got a sight glass in the front that shows our oil level. Now, you want your machine sitting flat, and then got new vacuum oil, and I'm just going to add it until we see our sight glass window on the front here. Get nice and to our oil level. Not too complicated. And you want to change the oil after each use. But it's a good idea when your machine is warm, it's hot, and then it's easier to change it. Just need to cut off the tip here on a new container. There we go. Oh, well, gotta take the cap off. Okay. There we go. And there we go, we're getting to our level. Looking good right there. See across our little sight window, we're all set there. Now we'll reset our deal, clean things up, and ready to use the vacuum pump. Okay, and if the oil level gets low, you'll hear the pump start to chatter, the exhaust baffle. It's got this little the exhaust ballast right there, and if it's too high, then it'll start blowing some oil out of the exhaust right here, right there. Yeah. All right, anyway, I'm going to be recovering some refrigerant just from the old cans that I have just a tiny bit left in. Don't want to throw away the old stuff, want to make sure I recover it into my recovery tank. And I'm going to need to pull a tank. I've got an empty recovery tank here. I'm going to need to pull a vacuum first since it's empty. So before using it, I'll pull a vacuum and boil off if there's any moisture in the can or whatnot, but pull a vacuum on it, and then I'll be able to recover the refrigerant. And then I've got my pre-filter, which I show you guys on another video, how to install the pre-filter on the recovery machine. Just keep everything going good. And after we're finished using the vacuum, we'll want to change the oil, drain the oil, and it's much easier to drain it when it's warm, so after running, and yeah. And that'll help preserve the life of the pump. And really, if you change the oil after every evacuation, it's a good idea, just to keep the machine alive. Okay, and if you overfill the pump by accident, you'll know because it'll start spitting oil out of the exhaust back right here. And the way you can drain it, it's a good idea to save your empty bottle when you use it, because right here is your drain, and you can take your little deal off and you can release some of the oil just like so. Mine, I think I got a little higher than I wanted to. But also, once it's finished vacuuming, Then you can just use your deal to drain it. No biggie. Okay, we're looking good there. Nice and level. And clean things up a little bit. No big deal. And again, I'll save my deal and I'll use that afterwards. Alright. Okay, so I got a recovery tank that's empty. Completely empty here. And gonna need to pull a vacuum on it. And what you have on your recovery tank is your suction side, the vapor side, and then the liquid side has a dip tube that goes down to the bottom. We're going to be using the suction side. Most of the time you'll just be using the suction side unless you were charging by liquid. I don't really like charging by liquid. I kind of avoid it because it's harder on the compressor and it's likely to do damage to compressor. You have to meter it in and kind of be much more careful with it. And you'll see systems, the compressors go down a lot more often when charged with liquid. But for certain refrigerants you'll need to charge with liquid, so
such as R410A
on what you got. But in that you want to meter it in, and they do sell little deals that you can hook up that actually meter it in for you. And but anyway, for now I'm just going to be pulling a vacuum. So we're going to hook up the suction side to our tank, and then I'm going to hook up you can do it through the blue side or the red side, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to pull the vacuum from the tank. Okay, so I'm going to pull a vacuum here today on our recovery tank. And so I've got my gauges. Hook up our blue side to the suction side of our deal. And of course this is empty, so there's nothing to purge. And then we're going to hook up the yellow line, a service line, to our vacuum pump. And then we're going to be drawing the vacuum from our deal. Now we'll need to open the tank, and then we'll need to open our gauges all the way. And now we're ready to pull the vacuum. And you can monitor it on the suction side dial here.
I should have zero calibrated my gauges
before
starting this. Check my video on how to do that.
And you'll see it starting to pull the vacuum deal here. We've got about 15. We'd like to see it to go to about 30. You can hear when I cut off the flow. And what we're doing is we're boiling off any moisture that's in the tank and pulling the vacuum. The vacuum pulls out any air. Air is a non-condensable. You can't squeeze it down. So we are pulling our vacuum.
To be more accurate, their air contains non-condensables. Contains moisture or water, which you can't squeeze down. hence the need to boil it off through vacuuming.
Just boiling off the moisture in there. You see the exhaust.
And you actually want to do this outside where you have good ventilation. You're not going to want to do this in a place where you don't have good ventilation.
Pulling it on out of there. We're pulling a vacuum for a good amount of time, and then we're just going to verify that it's going to hold the vacuum. It doesn't start climbing on its own. So turn that off, and we'll just verify that it holds. And it's holding good. And now I can just let it vacuum it out for a while. Okay, so I think that's long enough. We pulled our vacuum. We're holding. So I'd turn my vacuum off. And we're going to go ahead and turn our tank off. Although this is just kind of showing, I guess I would leave it open for a minute. And it's just showing that where we're at on our vacuum. Okay, so now my vacuum pump's all ready, and I have some other recovery to do, so I'm not going to empty the oil to do, but I need to use the vacuum again. So I'm going to use that. I don't need to drain it at this point, but if I was finished, I would go ahead and drain the oil, and so I can use new oil each time. Okay, so our pressure is holding the vacuum good. Go ahead and turn the tank off. Okay, and now I can disconnect my hose, and you'll see all of a sudden, oh, we jump up. Okay. And I probably actually had a deeper vacuum, but I should have zeroed my gauges first, which I didn't do, which I can do now. Go ahead and zero the gauge. And Got a little screwdriver here. There we go. I was wondering why I didn't get down lower on the vacuum, but that was it. That looked about right. Really, you want to pull a deep vacuum
Over
as
500
deep as you can
microns.
get it. Okay.
29.9.
Make sure that it's
It's
holding
ideal.
a vacuum. Okay, got our nitrogen floating through. Holding good. I might need a new nitrogen hose. I have to put that puppy underwater and test it. Oh, we got 50 pounds. We're holding good. I'll go ahead and shut it down. Now we'll just verify that we hold. Okay. Now we're holding. Good. Okay, so we're holding for a good amount of time. And so now I'll start pulling the vacuum. Looks like everything's doing good. We got our low side hooked up, hooking up the yellow line of the vacuum pump, plugged in the vacuum. We go ahead and hook up the high side as well. We can pull through both sides. You don't have to, we can pull through just the low side.
But it's a little better and faster
Well, but-
to pull through both sides.
There we go. Okay. There goes our nitrogen. Take it from the high and the low side. We got them both open. And now we can pull a vacuum. Here goes. Okay. So I'm gonna let this run for a good amount of time. And boil off all the moisture in there. Pull it down a little ways first and then turn it off and verify we're holding the vacuum. Alright. Down to 23 pounds, 24 pounds. Go ahead, turn it off. Turn it off and verify that we're holding. I'll turn my vacuum off. And I'll make sure we're staying.
One other thing I should mention is it's a good idea to use a heat gun to drive off moisture at different points, such as the evaporator or the compressor. A little bit of heat added can help make the moisture boil off faster and get from some of the
Yeah, we're looking good there.
little bit harder points to reach. But yeah, if you pull a vacuum long enough, you'll be okay. But a little bit of heat added can do a lot to drive out the moisture from those points that are more difficult to get to. And anytime the system's open, you want to add a new filter dryer. A new filter dryer will also absorb any little bit of moisture if it's, as long as it's only just a little bit.
And it's going to fluctuate a little bit, tiny bit here and there. That's no big deal.
So a little osmosis, it's going to find its balance there more perfectly, but we're holding, we're not losing our vacuum. It's just got to find its balance.
Okay, we're good. So I'll keep running the vacuum and let it run for an hour or so. From there. It's been a good hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. We've got a good vacuum, 29.9, as good as it gets. And so now we're ready to turn everything off. Here goes the low side. And here goes the high side. Okay, we're all off there. And turn my vacuum pump off. 29.9 and we're holding just fine. Okay, so I'm done with the recovery tank. It's a good idea to recover the refrigerant, drain the refrigerant while it's still warm. So we're going to do that now. Got just an old rag I'm sticking down to catch anything that falls down. And it's just a mineral oil, so no big deal. See our level dropping. And this way we'll preserve the life of our pump, and I can use new oil next time. Yep, there we go. Took, you can see the level, the amount that it took. Okay, so we're all set. I'll go ahead and seal it up. I used a little more than half a bottle. Alright.
This one's actually not covered in my Kung Fu maintenance book, but I do cover a lot of other things. It's just kind of a fun read. You can get it on Amazon as an ebook for $2.99, or you can get it other places online as a regular book. But if you enjoy it, thanks for watching.